What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream and another episode of the 10-7 MMA show. We are back this Friday in the new year. Kaz, take it easy. My little dog's going crazy. But we're back in the new year, and we did a show on Monday on New Year's Day, which was pretty fun. And we got
one of our longest shows too. One of our longest shows. It
Yeah.
was over. I think it was like 45 minutes or an hour.
Yeah, I think it was over an hour. I got to double check, but yes, or somewhere around there. But yeah, there's some interesting things going on. Actually, I forgot one topic that I didn't list in our description. I also want to talk about this John Jones versus Stipe fight. A lot of people have been weighing in on that, and I think I have a slightly different opinion on that fight being a title fight, and I'd love to hear your thoughts too as a fighter. What makes sense to you and what seems fair and all that. So anyways, I thought we could start off the show. Maybe you help first tell us about the story behind those black eyes.
Man, dude, I'm in here getting ready for a fight. And, these guys are coming in trying to bang on me. I was like, hey, I'm just trying to work my defense. Got double black eyes right here. These young kids come up, they go with an old dog like me, and they think they got to try to impress me by punching me hard, but all that does is piss me off. So my dude hit me with a big overhand right to an uppercut. I was like, all right, no problem. We start banging. About 2 minutes into the round, he's like, hey, man, can we lighten up a little bit? I'm like, dude, look at my face, man. What do you mean lighten up? So long story short, life of an MMA fighter.
It's pretty crazy too. You mentioned, I think, before we started that you were in boxing gloves and they were in MMA gloves. I didn't even know people did that. That you sparred with like one person wearing one type, and is that a common thing?
Man, I like to wear 12-ounce gloves when I spar, just because not only does it protect my partner or my teammate, but it protects my hands too.
Yeah,
I broke my left hand 2 or 3 times. I broke my right hand 2 or 3 times. I think twice my right hand, 3 times my left hand. I had surgery a couple years ago. So I really wear the bigger gloves, just so if you hit somebody in the top of the head, there's a little bit more protection.
yeah.
So I mean, it's just preference. It's not. Most people are wearing puffies anyway because they want to grapple. But again, I'm looking out for my hands and I'm looking out for my partner. I saw a dude today, and I told him, I said, hey, next time we go, like, we're going, bro. Like, he's like, oh, why do you got to be like that? I'm like, dude, look at my face, motherfucker. Like, it's time to go. And he's like, okay, I understand. So it's a mutual respect, but he's gonna get banged on a little bit.
All right, right on. All right. Well, I was just telling Justin too. We won't go into the details, but dealing with something that is prompting me to train more and more than I have been. Even definitely, I'm always shadow boxing every day. I'm always trying to hit the bag every day. So I do a little bit of striking, regardless as my warm up. But I need to get back in there and really train a little bit better for my own self defense. So yeah, well, that will be happening soon. Okay. I want to start this topic off, or the show off, with a specific topic that I've been thinking about all week. I've been listening to a lot of interviews, a lot of people talking about it. I heard Michael Chandler on ESPN today, and it's very peculiar. I think something really bizarre is going on. And I want to talk about this Conor McGregor versus Chandler fight and whether or not it is official. So let's go back on the timeline. We had Conor McGregor say he was going to make a fight announcement on January 1st, New Year's Day, that he was going to make a fight announcement. And we know that there have been issues. We don't know if it's financial or whatnot, or maybe he wants a different opponent. We don't really know, but there's obviously been issues in lining this fight up and announcing it. A lot of people theorized it was going to be UFC 300, which makes total sense, which I still really hope there's a chance that this is all just a ploy and it will be the headliner of UFC 300, because it feels like such a letdown that it's not. But anyways, so he said he's going to make this announcement on January 1st. He ends up making an announcement on New Year's Eve on December 31st. And the announcement is the one that we all know, right? International Fight Week. It's not UFC 300, which was weird. And this weird thing of fighting at middleweight. The UFC has not commented whatsoever on this fight. Not once. ESPN parroted the announcement. When Michael Chandler was asked today by Brett Okamoto whether or not he's fighting, or whether or not the fight's official, he avoided the question of saying whether they not they have a fight agreement. And apparently Jesse on Fire mentioned that Chandler also skirted that question from another interviewer. It wasn't ESPN. I can't remember who else it was, but he wouldn't. He kind of ducked the question and said he's 100% fighting on International Fight Week. Chandler also said something else, that he's fighting one way or another, whether it's Conor or somebody else, which I take to mean that at this point, if there's something that goes for whatever reason beyond International Fight Week, or they're not fighting International Fight Week, he's taking another fight. He's done waiting. I think that's the implication. But anyways, this is sort of all the things that are going on. We still don't have a headliner for UFC 300. I mean, Do you think that this is possible? And this is where my conspiracy theory comes in, or maybe not so much of a conspiracy. Do you think that this was all a ploy for Conor just being fed up, frustrated, nothing getting announced, nothing moving the needle? Hey, I'm going to stir the pot. I'm going to get people excited, maybe even get people mad that I'm not fighting at UFC 300, that he's fighting at International Fight Week to somehow move the needle, whether it's for Chandler or somebody else, to actually end up headlining UFC 300. This is where my mind's at right now, because none of this is making sense to me. What do you think?
This is what I think it is. So Conor McGregor has incredible star power, arguably the biggest star in the UFC, the highest paid athlete in the UFC of all time. Now, he could come out and say almost anything he wants on video and he'll get his way. So look at it from Conor's perspective. He comes out, he might have blindsided Michael Chandler with this 185 middleweight bout. But what is Michael Chandler going to do? Say no? And then he's like, oh, what do you mean you're no? Like, what? Like, you wanted to fight me? Here's the conditions. You're a bitch, you're a bitch, you're a bitch, you're a bitch. He's going to goat Michael Chandler into taking this fight up, 3 weight classes from lightweight to welterweight to middleweight because, Chandler wants to fight McGregor. It's a red panty night when he does, but McGregor has enough star power where he can make a video like that. Now you and I are talking about the middleweight fight. Mike Chandler's like, what the fuck, middleweight? Like, wait, I'm a lightweight. But if he says no, he looks like a bitch. And Conor be like, look, I told him that we'll fight, and here's the conditions. And, I think it's a ploy to try to goat Chandler into going up, giving up that extra weight. With that being said, I've trained with Chandler. Chandler is a fucking animal. Does McGregor really want to deal with a Michael Chandler at middleweight? Here's the only other problem is it's a great matchup, I think, for Conor. Eddie Alvarez really, I thought, was going to be Conor McGregor's kryptonite. And when I bet a bunch of money on that fight for Eddie, and Eddie just looks sloppy and slow. If Chandler comes out guns blazing, I don't think he's going to have the Eddie Alvarez approach. But again, we're going up 2-3 different weight classes. From Conor McGregor being the greatest featherweight fighter in the world who never defended his belt to fighting Michael Chandler, lightweight contender at middleweight. It's just really fishy to me. I think Conor McGregor's trying to goad him into it, hoping he says no so he can look like the hero. Like, oh, I'm trying to fight for all my fans. Because Conor doesn't need any more money. I don't think he really cares to fight anymore. And if he does, it's going to have to be by his terms at like something ridiculous at like middleweight.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, and somebody made the comment, I can't remember who it was, but maybe it was Chael Sonnen, and they're like, if you've ever fought at featherweight just once in your career, and he was obviously the featherweight champ, but if you've ever fought at featherweight, you should not ever be fighting at middleweight. Like, it's just a different frame and a different body, and you know what I mean? So
with that being said, there is an exception. There has been one exception, and unfortunately that fighter has passed away now, and it wasn't at featherweight. I think it was at welterweight. Rumble Johnson, I think, was a welterweight, and then had incredible success going from welterweight all the way up to heavyweight. And man, but again, we're talking about an anomaly. We're talking about a one hit, we're talking about if this has happened one time. That's like when Machida came on and he's, knocking everybody out. It's like, oh man, karate's the best. Like, we're talking about one guy that has a traditional karate style that's knocking people out. One. It's an anomaly. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't happen every time. I don't think Conor McGregor is going to fare well at middleweight. I mean, he's always had gas tank issues. When he fought Nate Diaz at 170, he looked heavy. He looked slow. Now add another 15, 20 pounds onto that. I don't think it's going to favor McGregor. There's one thing Michael Chandler does every single time, win or lose. That motherfucker shows up in shape, and he's not going to gas out. Conor McGregor, if Conor wants to win that fight, he has to do it quick because if he gets to the third, and if it's a main event, it gets to the third, fourth, fifth round, Chandler, I think, is going to take those later rounds.
I'm still, and I'm listening to everything you're saying, but in the background, my mind is trying to figure out why did Conor do this? Why did he make this announcement that I think is just completely made up? And I don't know. In my mind, I'm going back to, I feel like he still wants to headline UFC 300 because I feel like that's the biggest event of the year. Why wouldn't he want to headline it? That's Conor's kind of mentality, and that's kind of it's generally his motivation. He wants to be a part of the biggest events of all time. This might be the biggest event of all time. Maybe not as big as him versus Khabib, maybe bigger. We don't know, right? I imagine he's got to want to be part of it. And I'll throw it out here. I feel like he doesn't want to fight Chandler. That's still where my mind's at. He doesn't want to fight Chandler, and he wants to fight on 300. And this is some weird move. So just store this in the back of your memory banks, okay? and let's see what actually unfolds. But that's what I'm feeling like. I'm feeling like this International Fight Week thing, I think it's nonsense. I don't think it's true. Obviously, the middleweight thing is not true. Yeah, go ahead.
What I want to say to your point is Conor McGregor, when he's on a card, all eyes are on him. You know,
Yeah,
he wants to be the front runner. He's the one that everyone's there to watch. You look at a UFC 300 card, he's not going to be the main event more than likely. I hope he's not because he's lost so many in a row. I mean, I love him to death, but International Fight Week card, there's no argument he can be the main event. All eyes are on him. He's going to have all the pay-per-view buys. He goes to 300, he's probably going to be the co-main or even one fight below that, because it's not going to be a title fight. They can't main event him over a title fight, and
I
he
think
doesn't deserve a title fight. You think
I
you
think
think
I
that you
think
think
they
you
can.
would you want to watch Conor McGregor? How many fights he lost? 3 in a row, 4 in a row, like as your main event for arguably the biggest event of the year? I mean, he's an undercard fighter. Move him to International Fight Week. He can main card, and now I mean the UFC 300 is gonna sell like crazy, regardless if Conor McGregor's on the card or not. Some of these potential matchups are insane.
That's
But
true.
you take an International Fight Week, who gives a fuck about that card? Oh, Conor McGregor's on it. Now everybody cares about it.
That
I
is
think
true.
I think it's a
Yeah.
good I think it's good to disperse these superstars. Like, dude, man, my dream matchup for UFC 300 main event, Leon Edwards versus Islam Makhachev. That is my dream matchup. I would rather see that than Conor McGregor fight anybody in the world. I just think that we're talking about the best pound for pound fighter going against the welterweight champ, going up a weight, solidifying his legacy. I don't give
Yeah.
a fuck about Conor McGregor. I mean, what? Okay, let's say he fights Michael Chandler and he wins. Then
Mhm.
what?
Yeah, true.
Like Michael Chandler's lost a bunch of fights in a row, or a bunch of fights. I think was he 3-3 in his last 6 or something like that. I mean, he's a killer.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but again, that fight will sell out International Fight Week. It's not going to sell for UFC 300.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And by the way, I think the issue with Islam coming back and fighting Leon for UFC 300 is Ramadan. But Bilal apparently doesn't mind fighting during Ramadan or right at the tail end of Ramadan. So I think
Who?
that Bilal Muhammad.
Who's that?
No, I was saying Islam. Islam
No, no.
doesn't.
Who's Bilal?
Oh,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
dude, he's
yeah,
a great fighter. I think he's incredible. And if he ever sees us, he whipped my ass. I'm not discrediting his fighting,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't give a fuck
No,
to watch him
I
fight.
agree with you. Sadly, I agree with you.
It sucks, man. I wish I did. I wish I found some kind of connection. I wish that he was witty on the mic or he was good in the commentary booth. I just think he's an incredible fighter, but he
Yeah.
doesn't sell me, man. I like the WWE aspect. I'm a WWE fan. Stone Cold Steve Austin is why I'm in this game, because I like those theatrics, and that's just what he's lacking right now. He has no star power. He has no fan power. I just would hate to see him main event. I mean, eventually, he's going to become the champ. I really think he's that good, but I don't want to see it on UFC 300. Make it 301, 303. I don't give a fuck. Just not 300, man. Please.
Okay, so we were going to go to a different topic next. I'm going to change the order. We're going to go to the third topic. Now will be the second topic, which is UFC 300 headline options. So since we're talking about, hey, it's clearly not, even though I think people are saying it's going to be Leon versus Bilal, but that's obviously not going to be the headliner. There's no way. It just doesn't move the needle. As you said, it doesn't get
Nobody cares.
But there have been some interesting things that have been thrown out, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Now, unfortunately, fortunately, people were talking about this as a possibility, and this was really exciting. However, Ariel Helwani apparently today, per Jesse on Fire, said that these were not possible. But anyways, a lot of people were saying the winner of your boys' fight, Sean Strickland versus Duplessis, if depending on how that fight goes, the winner could turn around and fight Izzy as the headliner for 300, which I thought was which I thought would be an incredible idea. Whether it's a rematch of Strickland versus Izzy or Duplessis versus Izzy, based on all that drama and all that hype, I think that would be perfect. However, apparently, according to Ariel Helwani, the option of Izzy fighting at 300 is not being discussed, I guess, right now. So let's say that that's one potential option. Izzy versus either of those two, amazing. Okay, that's one possibility. Another possibility is we have Alex Pereira, and he would be fighting against your boy Jamal Hill. So that's another potential option, and I think that's a banger of a fight for the UFC headline main card. What do you think?
I don't like the Izzy fight because Sean's going to go in here and defend his belt, or lose his belt. And Adesanya has been inactive, since that fight. I don't think he should just be like, all right, you get a title shot. As Sean's already been putting in work, been training. I'd really like to see Adesanya go and fight a top 5 guy, show everybody that he still has it, and then go, because there's so many contenders coming up that he could fight right now, to earn that spot back. I know people are going to say, "Oh, he's one of the greatest of all time," and I mean, we say that about every champion that defends their belt a couple times, every single time. Fuck, they defend their belt once, oh, they're one of the greatest of all time. You win a UFC championship, you're one of the greatest of all time. It doesn't matter if you defend it 1 time or 10 times, dude. There's so many. There's not that many fighters. You take the top 50 greatest champions of all time. Fuck, I don't even think there's been the sport's only been around for 30 years. Like,
Yeah.
there hasn't even been 50 champions in each weight class. So you win so with that being said, I really want to see Adesanya go fight a top 5 guy. That'd be cool to see him on like the undercard of 300, or like before the co-main fight, fight another contender, another uprising star to show that he still has it. Now we go to Strickland and Duplessis. Like, Strickland's jumping right back in there, fighting Duplessis, fighting another top contender. Could get injured, might not, probably won't, but could. And now he gets to take on the style bender again, which is a tough fight when Izzy hasn't had put anything else at risk. Sean's putting his title on the line. He's putting something at risk. Izzy's just sitting at the house right now hoping that he wins so he can try and get his rematch. Again, I just reiterate, I love Izzy. I think he's a great champion. I think he's a great fighter. I just would like to see him, like you say, earn that cred back, because here's the thing with MMA. This sport chews you up and spits you out faster than you can. I'm living proof. Not only me personally, I just see all the fighters in the gym. Fuck, you got these guys have an incredible highlight. They think that they're the next big thing, and then they lose fucking 3, 4, 5 fights in a row, and they're done. So I really want to see Izzy get a win back. If it was a close fight, I would say run it, but it wasn't close. Sean beat him in his own game.
Yeah.
Izzy, I think, needs to earn that spot. Now, going on to the next matchup. What was the second matchup you said?
Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill as a headliner.
You know, Jamal Hill's my guy. We grew up on the regional circuit together. I mean, we've done a podcast together. There's this podcast in Las Vegas that we've done together called the Unnamed Sports Show, and we've done it a bunch of times. I love him to death. He's a Michigan guy, but I have to stay unbiased for the business and the sport. Jamal Hill's coming back from an injury. I want to see him take on another, again, top contender to throw before throwing him right back into championship status. I mean, he deserves it. He never lost his belt, so I mean, I could see, the argument of, hey, he never really lost his belt, but he's coming back from a serious injury, and we don't know how that's going to affect his body, how that's going to affect his mind, how that's going to affect his performance. And because he's a friend of mine, I hope it doesn't. But this MMA game, is very, very mental, man. And after I broke my hand and I had surgery, I was really afraid to throw my left hook, which is my devastating shot. Out of all my knockouts, it's either been a left uppercut or a left hook because I just have so much power. But I held back for a little while until I was comfortable again. Jamal is probably, he's I think it's great. I just don't like as a headliner. I'd love to see him early on, maybe earlier in the card. Maybe a co-main. Um, I hate to say it because I feel like I'm throwing shade at my friend, and I'm not. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But 300, man. Let's talk about John Jones. Let's talk about the John Jones option.
You
I
think he's
hate that they keep pitching him to Stipe because Stipe, again, one of the greats. But I just think he's past his time now. Oh fuck! Oh, just moving right on to the next
why
subject.
not?
Yeah,
Bring it up.
I
I
didn't even
want to talk
realize. I'm
about this.
sorry. I just saw UFC options.
Yeah, let's
John
do it.
Jones, man, and he just keeps proving time and time again. But I really think they're just giving him a gimme fight, man. It's Stipe was brutally knocked out by Francis. He hasn't fought since 2021. I I want to see John Jones versus, Tom Aspinall. I'll be honest, that's the fight I want to see. And that fight sells to me. Imagine John Jones versus Tom Aspinall as the main event. Imagine, or let's say John Jones versus Aspinall is the main event. Let's say Leon Edwards, and this is, again, I know we've went through these theoretical matchups so many times, and we have Leon Edwards versus Makhachev as the main. We have, what's his name? Fuck, he's been in UFC 100. He was in UFC 200. Jim Miller. Let's have him fight Tony Ferguson. Let's have him fight one of those old school bets on the undercard, or like on the on not maybe like the featured prelim. I just feel there's so many better matchups, and I want to give John Jones his glory because he's been around for so long, and he's solidified himself to be the greatest, if not one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time. He's been around for 15 years. But Stipe, man, he's older, he's washed up. He hasn't fought since 2021. He just lost by brutal knockout. I think if they do that matchup, they're just giving John Jones an easy way to get out of the UFC.
Okay, so let's talk about that. By the way, apparently we're getting rated right now from some channel named Ronan. We've got a bunch of people on the live. So whoever Ronan is, I don't know, but thank you for the raid.
So check this out.
Yeah.
Ronan, it could be the fight club from Spain. So when I went to Spain, I trained at a place called Ronan Fight Club. And if that's you guys, hey, big shout out to Spain coming in. It might be, it might not be, but it's fucking cool either way.
Right on. And Western Bass Cliver says, I owe a buddy. All right, well, tell me what I owe you and how much, and we'll sort it out. I don't know what for, but okay, let's talk. And thank you guys for joining. We really appreciate it. And subscribe if you like what we're talking about. But here's the thing. Okay, let me give you my thoughts on John Jones versus Stipe, because here's the dealio, right? And I probably am in the minority here. Most people are saying they want to see what you want to see. They want to see John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. And I totally get it, right? The best against the best. And I understand that. What I believe is happening is that the UFC wants John Jones, okay, from their standpoint, to go out on top because of the sticky situation with Francis Ngannou. I do think it ties back to that. I think they want to solidify his legacy so far and above and beyond any other heavyweight that's ever competed, that he can go down and there can be no dispute. I do think that's a potential issue that they see with Francis being so dominant in that fight against Tyson Fury, being so dominant against Stipe. So I think that's what's happening here, because normally the UFC is in the business of having the fighters on the way out lose, but they seem to really want Jones to win, and they want him to win in impressive fashion. Now, where do I stand on this? I am a huge fan of, and what's up, everybody? Thank you so much for all the comments. We really appreciate it. 1i3 King, thank you for joining. We hope you'll stick around. We hope you'll subscribe. But anyways, the thing is like, I love John Jones. I'm a huge fan of his. I've been watching him since he joined the UFC, and I was always so impressed with all his creativity and striking, the duration that he's gone on. Fine, he's had some controversy, but I do want to see him go out on top. I think most fans, when we have a fighter that we really like, we want to see them go out on top. We want to see Khabib go out on top. We want to see Conor have a resurgence. And so I think Jones will lose to Aspinall? No, not necessarily. I think it'll be a really interesting fight. Even Anthony Smith still picks John Jones to win in that fight because he's so creative and so smart. But Aspinall is the new breed, and I don't feel like it's necessary for his legacy to go out and fight somebody who's so young and on the come up and will obviously, I think, be champ, undisputed, and dominate. But it's like a new era. Let him have this final fight. I do think it should be for the title. I heard another guy, the guy who you had the issue with, I can't remember his name, the journalist say, hey, I'll fix the Stipe Jones issue. Just have him fight for a non-title. And I'm like, that's not, no. Like, that does take away the excitement. And these guys that earn their stripes, they should be able to fight for a title. Why not? And it just sucks for Tom Aspinall that it's delayed, or he might have to have an interim title defense. But anyways, that's my 2 cents. I still want to see John Jones versus Stipe. I still think it would be incredible if John Jones beats Stipe. Everybody's acting like it would be a non-event. But yeah, maybe he's a little bit older, but Stipe is still considered the greatest heavyweight of all time. So I want to see this fight. I hope this fight happens. And then afterwards, Aspinall can roll through the division and do his thing. What do you think? Do you agree with me?
I don't agree with you, and here's why. And because right now, to me, Francis Ngannou is the greatest heavyweight. All right. He came in, he demolished the division, he became the UFC champion. He fought Tyson Fury, had an incredible boxing match. A lot of people thought he won, but he still went split decision with the greatest boxer of our generation right now, Tyson Fury. Now you look at this. Francis Ngannou knocked him out in the first round. Landed one punch, iced him. Great stoppage. There was no debate to that. Now, how does that look for the UFC if John Jones goes to decision, or the second round, or the third round? Because they want to say John Jones is better than Francis Ngannou, but Francis Ngannou already solidified Stipe. He planted him. He knocked him out in the first round. Now, if John Jones goes to decision, the argument is Francis is going to be better than John, and I'm not agreeing with that argument, but I know a lot of people will take that argument. They'll be like, look at how Francis handled Stipe, and look at how John. Now, I'm not saying John couldn't knock him out in the first round or finish him in the first round, but what if he doesn't? And how does that look at the UFC brand that Francis Ngannou is in the PFL now? And John Jones is in the UFC. He's the greatest of all time. But John Jones couldn't finish Stipe after Francis, the PFL fighter, did in the first round. How does that look from a business point?
Yeah, but only the other argument you could make is like they fought twice, right? So Stipe beat Francis the first time, and then Francis came back. So at least you could still say from that perspective.
When though? When?
Oh, when did Francis lose to Stipe?
Early in his career, one
Wait,
of his
yeah, a
first
long
fights.
time ago.
Long
Yeah,
time. And Francis has gotten so much better since then. So we're talking about the present. That's remarkable to lose to Stipe and then come out and plant him in the first round. But
true.
again, if Francis is only getting better, his strike again, I'll reiterate, he just went 12 rounds with the greatest boxer, heavyweight boxer of our generation. You know,
Right.
it's so he's constantly getting better. He's training with Mike Tyson. He's training with Eric Nixick. He's training with Sean Strickland. I haven't seen him in a couple months, but this guy he can only get better. Guys like me and John Jones who've been doing this our whole lives, like Francis gets better every week, every month. Me, I have to focus on one craft for a year before because my gains are this big because I've been doing it for so long. Francis, fuck. Every time he's learned something new, he's fucking getting gains like this. He's getting better so much faster because he doesn't have the mileage. He hasn't been
Mm,
doing it his whole life. So that lack of mileage, his game is constantly getting better compared to someone like John Jones, who's been around for 30 years, basically. Not 30 years, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
And his gains, his technique can only get a little bit better when Francis is getting leaps and bounds better every day.
Crazy. So just to wrap up the Jones versus Stipe. So are you saying it's a fight that you are interested in, or you're not that interested in?
I'm interested in the fight, but not for UFC 300. I don't. I mean, it's. I think it's a too lopsided of a fight. I don't even think Stipe. I mean, after he hasn't fought since 2001, he took a brutal knockout. Now he's going to go fight arguably the greatest fighter of all time. I mean, hats off to Stipe. He's going to fight. If he does fight, he's fighting the two greatest heavyweights of all time back to back. That's
Yeah.
fucking incredible.
This
I
is
am an incredible
crazy.
Stipe fan. He is the man on fire. He's a fireman. He's a fighter. Like
Yeah.
he's a hero, to everybody. And now he fights Francis Ngannou, then John Jones again, the two greatest heavyweights back to back. He's gonna lose. How is he gonna lose? Now he could shock the world. I just don't see it happening, unfortunately. I don't want to. I want to see the fight, but I don't want to see it at UFC 300.
Okay. And do you care if it's for a title, or does that add anything for you, or you feel like
That
it
that
doesn't?
that that means nothing to me because regardless if it's for a title or not, it's going to be a 5-round fight. I
Yeah.
don't think Stipe should just be given a title shot. He's been laid off. He hasn't won a fight in a long, long time. I think since 2020. So it's been 4 years since he's won a fight. That I mean, the just like the BMF belt, man. These belts. Tom Aspinall said it in an interview, or I think it was Tom Aspinall. You'll be able to tell me. It's like the UFC isn't the champions aren't about who's the best fighter in the weight classes, who's the best businessman in the weight class. That's why Conor McGregor keeps getting these high profile fights, and that's kind of goes over to say like whether it's for a title or not, I don't really give a fuck. It's going to be a 5-round fight regardless because it's going to be the main event. So they're going to make it for the title, but I don't think Stipe is deserving of a title just because he hasn't won a fight in a while. He goes out and fuck. Hey, why not Stipe and Tom Aspinall, and then the winner of that fight gets to fight John Jones at UFC 300.
People have talked about that, but Dana White does not like that idea. Again, because I think the implication is that Tom Aspinall would likely win, and then you have this fight that they don't want. They want John Jones to go out on a win. That's my feeling. But
and that makes 100% sense, and I get that. But at the
yeah,
end of the day, I want the two best fighters fighting. I don't want to do it from a business aspect. Oh, because we want his legacy solidified. Fuck, I mean, everybody gets knocked off at the end. Look at Anderson Silva, arguably to me one of the greatest middleweights of all time, top 3 for sure. That motherfucker just keeps fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting.
yeah.
Khabib, that's why I can't, because he gets to the top. He has one title defense, and I don't know how he didn't have very many, maybe 3. And he's like, okay, I'm done. It's like, dude, the greats keep going. George St. Pierre defended his belt a bunch, then retired, then came out of retirement, won a belt again, then went back into retirement. They're talking about him fighting. You talk about Anderson Silva, who won like 16 title defenses or 12 title defenses in a row, something crazy, loses his title after breaking his leg. Or no, he gets knocked out, comes back, breaks his leg. That's a real champion to me, man. And Tom versus Stipe, I see Nuru Ego, man. Like, dude, Tom versus Stipe, that is the fight. But to Huzaifa and Dana White's credit, I mean, we kind of know how that poured out, and we don't want John Jones, or they don't want John Jones and Tom fighting because John could lose.
Yeah, yeah, and I get it. I understand. I like I said, I think I'm in the minority. I think most fans, most journalists, most fighters want to see Aspinall versus Stipe or something else and have the belt move forward. But I'm kind of one of the few people that I think it'd be cool to find have him hold it for a little bit longer. It sucks for Tom Aspinall, but I do want to see Jones versus Stipe for the title. Let them both retire and we move on. But anyways, fascinating stuff. Let's get to our last topic, which is a really fun one. I want to see what everybody says about this because it's a little ridiculous. So we're jumping backwards in order. We're going to
This is the 300 main event right here, baby.
So let's give you guys a little bit of background. Oops, where's my dog? Oh, okay, it's fine. All right, so just to give you guys a little bit of background on what's been happening here, Masvidal writes this tweet earlier in the week that says unretired, which is amazing. So we don't know what that means, right? We don't know if he's going to do a boxing match. We don't know if he's coming back to the UFC, etc. And then the idea, I think, was some people were thinking, hey, maybe it's a boxing match with Nate Diaz. Maybe it's a UFC fight with Nate Diaz at 300. Maybe, on the main card, co-main, something like that. All right, so there's these different ideas. Somebody threw out the idea to Ben Askren, hey, would you rematch Jorge Masvidal? Now, I don't know if you ever heard Ben Askren talk about it, but he said basically if and when he ever fights Masvidal, it's a 99 out of 100 certainty that he would generally win, and that his contention is that Masvidal won on that 1 out of 100 chance, right? And so he wants that fight, and he said he'll take it anytime. So, anyways, I just thought this was a fun thing that we could talk about. I don't know if it's likely. Askren's been out of the game for a while, but you now look at it. USADA's gone, right? We don't have these limitations anymore of Askren having to re-enter the pool, Masvidal having to re-enter the pool. I mean, theoretically, this could happen. First of all, what do you think are the odds that this could happen? I know it's a little fantasy land, but what do you think the odds are that this could happen? And B, are you interested in this fight?
Very interested in the fight. Love the fight, man. We're talking about, Masvidal has lost a couple in a row, goes into retirement. Askren, man, he's lost a bunch in a row as well. I feel for Ben Askren here because every time Masvidal fought after they fought, Askren had to watch his head get bounced off the canvas over and over and over. And I follow Askren on Twitter, and he's a funny dude, man. And every time he's like, well, Masvidal's fighting, I guess I get to watch my head bounce off the canvas for the next 3 weeks. And I just, I would love for Ben Askren to get another shot at it. I don't see the fight going much different. After Askren, what is Masvidal is broke from having to pay out Hey, that actually could be a thing too. A game bread. They have the bare knuckle MMA, and that could be why he's coming out of retirement. But I tell you, I think it's a great matchup. It's a fun matchup for the fans. It'd be a great undercard matchup, maybe a prelim fight. And you know what? I know Masvidal would come out and look for that knee again. And I'm sure Askren would make him miss, but he'd sprint right across. And how crazy would it be if he landed the same exact knee again? I mean, the MMA world would fucking explode. Ben Askren, I don't think it's going to. I mean, Ben Askren's been brutally knocked out. He got knocked out by Masvidal bad. He got knocked out by Jake Paul. I know a lot of people were saying it was a fall. It was not a fall. Yeah. He was knocked the fuck out. And, you look at Jake Paul now, dude, that's a powerful, powerful dude. I mean, if Askren got his hands on Masvidal and was able to get the fight to the ground, he has a chance. But I think Masvidal knocks him out again. Regardless, I would love to see the rematch. I think the fans would love to see the rematch. I think this fight sells. This is a great co-main event for International Fight Week. This is a great co-main event for another fight night, or it's main event for a fight night. UFC 300, it's a prelim fight, but I want to see this fight.
I think it could be on the main card. I think you could have it be the opener or the second. I think this is a great
as an opener as a main card. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and I think it would be incredible. I think it's nice to give, again, as you mentioned, Askren's been seeing that knockout on replay for so long. I think it'd be great for him to go in there, give it another shot. I do think he would win against Masvidal. He did mention he had hip surgery after he retired, and he said he wishes he would have done it way sooner because he had a lot of hip problems from wrestling for so long. So I think he might actually come out and be a better MMA fighter theoretically. I think he still trains. And people forget, right? Askren wasn't in the UFC very long, but while he was in the UFC, his smack talking was hilarious, dude. Like, he's actually one of the best smack talkers. And if you listen to his show, DC and Askren, that he does like once or twice a week, he's amazing. His commentary is incredible. I would love to see him get back in the mix and then talk smack to Jorge Masvidal and them two going back and forth. And I mean, the only reason why I see this not happening is because I feel like Masvidal probably knows that he was majorly disadvantaged. I think he was at a major disadvantage in that fight, and he pulled off the unthinkable. He pulled off that flying knee. Why did he do something so risky? Because he knew he was going to be in major trouble. I think Askren would have given him even more of a hard time than Colby did with his wrestling background and what he's done to everybody. I think it would have been really rough for him. So he took the shot, he practiced that shot, and he hit a home run. So I think that Masvidal might be like, no, what's the point? Unless maybe there is some financial pressure. Maybe he makes a huge payday. Maybe the UFC is willing to pay him that huge payday because they recognize what an incredible fight this would be. And this would be an incredible fight. So I say all the way. And oh, yes, What I King is obviously a Askren fan. He goes, What I King goes, boom, roasted. You know why he says that?
I don't know.
Because I listen to Askren all the time. He's always like, boom, roasted. And the funny thing about that is on my YouTube channel, or my main YouTube channel for my company, Scalar Learning. It's a math YouTube channel, but a lot of times when I finish problems, I'm always like, boom, done. And we get it from the same place, which is The Office, the season where Michael Scott goes on and roasts everybody. He goes, okay, you're tiny, boom, roasted. You're blah blah, and he just goes.
Yeah. I do remember that.
So, anyways,
I'm telling you, man, Askren is a fucking animal. He is an incredible wrestler, and here's the difference between Colby and Askren. Is Colby is a great collegiate wrestler, Division I. He has a great double leg. He puts people up into the fence. Askren, from a wrestling standpoint, is fucking weird, dude. I love watching Askren scrambles because his success, I've worked with Askren's coaches as well. His success isn't from him being more athletic, being faster, being stronger. What's his nickname? Funky. That motherfucker is funky as hell. He'll roll and roll and roll. And dude, when I'm watching this guy, I don't know what he's in his wrestling. I don't even know what this guy's doing. And I've been wrestling my whole life since I was 9 years old. And dude, I think it'd be just an incredible matchup. And the shit talk, the banter, there'd be a great fight build up. And Askren gets watch his head get knocked off the canvas a couple more times. But if he was able to redeem that loss and then do a trilogy, let's fucking go. Now the UFC is talking about real money, because everyone would love. Imagine an Askren. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
a fight night trilogy of Askren and Masvidal. Come on, dude. Who wouldn't want to see that?
Dude, that'd be amazing. It would be incredible. And they don't need to do any other fights beyond just fighting each other again. Or who knows? Yeah. Maybe Askren decides to come back if he's looking and feeling amazing. But yes, please, UFC, please, MMA gods, this would be massive. And for those of you who are maybe newer fans and don't remember how hilarious and amazing Ben Askren was on the mic, he's one of the best, in my opinion, on the mic.
He's super witty. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just agreeing with you. He's super witty. He's quick with the response, and he just has like that. I don't know, he reminds me of like the dude. You know what I mean? The dude from, you know what I mean? Like the way he just kind of sits. He's just like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I like him a lot though. Sorry to cut you off.
And it's okay. He's got a great mentality too. And you know what he said recently is like, he got knocked out by Jake Paul. He got kneed by by Masvidal, and he rolls with it. He's like cool about it. And DC asked him, he's like, man, you just don't seem to have a hard time with any of these losses. He's like, well, because growing up, and as you mentioned, he's funky, right? He's not really athletic. As he was growing up in wrestling, he was losing all the time. He was losing. So he didn't come out like Bo Nickel, always undefeated, always winning, always being the best. He was terrible, apparently. And then he just kept working and slowly got better. So that's what he says, to his credit, why he's got such a strong mental state and why losing doesn't bother him. So anyways, he's just an all around super fun fighter to watch, both in the fight buildup and after the fact. So he said Big Lebowski. Yeah, that's good.
Got the Big Lebowski. Let's go, New Ego. That's exactly right. I don't know. Just when I look at him and his long hair, I picture the dude, man. It's like just kind of like chill, like, hey, man, I'm the dude, whatever.
It's the Jake Paul KO is going to be hard to. I don't think so. I think he didn't even bother him, which is crazy, which is amazing. But I think in his mind he's like, I'm not a boxer, I'm a wrestler. Like, this is ridiculous. It's the same way probably Dylan Dennis doesn't really let the Logan Paul KO affect him or bother him, or well, it wasn't a KO, but like that loss, right? It was going to be a decision loss. He doesn't let that bother him or affect him at all.
Not to mention, it was so long ago, his brains had plenty of time to recover, Yeah. And again, it's a boxing match. It's not an MMA fight.
Yeah, exactly. So Okay. Oh my God. I just got so excited for Askren Masvidal too.
Yes.
The more we talked about it, because I was like, I don't really think this is realistic, but it's just fun to think about. But the more now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, I really hope they do this. It would be huge for UFC 300, especially if they don't get Conor. So anyways, guys, thank you so much. We had a really fun chat today. Thank you, new guys, for joining. One Eye King, Western Mass Climber. I know you've been with us since the beginning. We appreciate it. And Noru Ego, if I'm saying that right. Thank you, guys. I hope you guys subscribe. Just to let you know, we do shows every Monday and Friday, and then we're going to chop these up into fun little shorts throughout the week. And if you guys have anything else, or I know we saw some comments in the chat that's saying, hey, we'd love to see you guys do more videos on specific topics. We're going to be doing that as well, longer form videos where we don't just jump on and have a conversation. Although this is like the most fun thing to do, I think, just jump on and do the show, but we're going to be making those as well. So any suggestions or anything, hey, thank you, One Eye King, for the sub. If you guys have anything that you want us to talk about in particular, let us know, and we'll make some more content. All right. And
one more thing too, guys. If guys that are watching, like Jose was saying, if you guys want us to talk about something, comment it or hit us up on Instagram. Jose has a great learning channel Instagram. You got my Instagram handle under my name. Message me privately. I answer all my messages, even the hate messages. So feel free to reach out to either of us, and we'll answer you promptly, and we'll start talking about the stuff you guys want to hear about.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on Monday. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take it easy.